You got one life, for crying out loud. You might as well just give it all you got.
The Deej, Dan Jourdan.
Your daily dose of reality. Your daily dose of the Deej.
I can't believe I'm saying this, but I need my daily dose of the Deej.
I make the news. I don't watch the news. I'm a leader.
The Sales Energizer, Dan Jourdan.
Listen, don't worry how to sell, baby. Worry about why people buy. And it's fun.
You don't need a 5-hour energy. All you need is the Sales Energizer.
Just when I think it's not going to be as fun as the one before, each one gets successfully better. What's the word I'm looking for? What's it going to take to get you into this car today, huh?
And now, please welcome the Sales Energizer, Dan Jourdan.
Are you kidding me?
I was holding my hands up for way too long.
You know how long I got to keep this goofy smile on for that thing? You got to make the ending not as long.
Yeah.
You know, it's always complaining. That's what happened. You know, the talent is always complaining.
Hey, this is how you make things better. You know, you're open, right. And I'm listening to your somewhat constructive criticism, and we'll make it better next time.
You know, I never told you this, but my first live experience on TV was very formative in my understanding of how the market works here. And I was doing you ever see those idiots on a telethon answering the phone?
Oh yeah,
that was absolutely me. So it was like one of those PBS things, and I'm guy answering the phone. And so like every once in a while they'd see and I'd be waving, the dumbest thing in the world. But what I learned about it is that the person who was like announcing, "Hi, now we're going to see you how to play the piano without reading music," the person who was trying to get the money, that person was referred to by the producer as the talent. And I thought I thought to myself, man. Just one day I want to be the talent. And so now I learned how to do, listen, you want to be on a cover of a magazine, make your own magazine. You want to be the talent on a live cast, put it together yourself and you're done. You want to be a star, start your own pie. It's free. I don't know why everybody doesn't do it.
I have no idea. I mean, look at us knuckleheads.
Yes.
Look what we're doing.
Well, you especially are a knucklehead because I sound so much better because you told me to get this mic and I got the headset. This is like, why have you not? You need to be more forceful with me in telling me, what's going to make me better. You need to be more like my wife. I mean, I could wake up and like walk to the kitchen, and in that period of time, I'll find out 3 or 4 things that I did wrong.
Wow. I have yet to meet your wife, but she must be an amazing woman to put up with you on a daily basis.
She's awesome. I actually did call her today out of the blue. I was standing here in the global headquarters in Atlanta, Georgia, and I was looking out this window here, and it was morning, sunrise, and I was just looking at it, and I thought to myself today, I said, man, I am the luckiest man in the world.
Mm-hmm.
And I picked up the phone and I called my wife and I said, I just want to let you know that right now, because of you and this, I feel like I'm the luckiest man in the world. And she said, you forgot to do the dishes.
Well, you're supposed to do that without her asking. That's her love language, right?
That's right. That was so good.
All right. So little housekeeping.
Yes.
For those of you who are expected once again for 3 weeks in a row, Jim Fuse to be on his LinkedIn channel, you've got the Deej on the Jim Fuse Fusion. So shout out once again to Fusion Marketing. If you need social media, live streaming, production, whatever, Jim Fuse is your man. He will infuse your business.
Yeah,
brand,
he's
whatever.
Really good. He actually he makes everybody that he works with better. He's a really good guy.
I'm pretty excited about today's guests, not just because there's more than one, but we had a guest that was scheduled and it kind of fell apart. And I thought, Dan, I have an idea about who might be able to fill in. I don't know if they're available. They're extremely, extremely busy, but I think it would be awesome if we had these two on the show. And you were like, you couldn't even believe that we hadn't even had them on yet.
Yeah, I mean, they're great. What makes a good show is storytellers, and these two are awesome storytellers, and they actually figured out a way to make a living at telling stories, and so I think people can learn a lot from them. So why don't you set them up? Why don't you get them on here? What do you?
Yeah, I
people
probably
have
should
had
do
enough
that.
of me already.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Let's class up the show if we could for all of and by the way, before we do this, what a tease I am. I'm sorry, everyone. But this is an interactive show. Like, you can sit back if you want and chill out and just be fed by all the greatness and nuggets and goodness that you're going to get about writing your sales story. But we want to hear from you. So wherever you're watching, it's on LinkedIn, it's on Facebook, it's on Twitter, it's on YouTube, it's on danjourdan.com/live, by the way, which I forgot to mention for the first time ever.
Oh, really?
Join in the chat, get your questions ready for our guests. And so, without further ado, would you please welcome the super-powered ghostwriting visionary with $1 million smile and the Southern sassy and savvy Harley-Riding humorist, Denise-Renee and June Cline. Welcome to the show, ladies.
Thank you so much for having us.
Thank you.
Well, look at that.
Yay.
The $1 million smile.
Who do we
You're
pay?
supposed to
Those were
mail
all
for
good
it.
words.
See, I can write every once in a while. I'm not a great writer. I mean, I have a feeling, though, Denise-Renee, you probably would have written it maybe a little differently, or like, actually, how would you have written that?
No, that was pretty good. So I'll walk with
Okay.
that. I'll take that.
Wow. Huge compliment. Thank you so much.
So the way I got to meet these lovely young ladies is we're in a group that we belong to, and I found out that one of them needs a book and one of them writes books. And I think there's just about every human being. I think I read this somewhere, but I may be completely lying. I've gotten to the age that I have complete, vivid memories of things that have never happened. I don't know. It's a kind of, I made them up for long enough. So this may be one of those, but it was some crazy statistic, like 89% of people have a book that they wanted to write, and like 3% actually go ahead and do it. And you guys were talking, and you were talking about making a book, and then finally what got the job done, because you have great story. I'm looking at June. I've actually seen you speak one time, and I know you have great stories, and it was supposed to get into a book, and it was until you met Denise-Renee that it was just in your head and didn't get it on the book. So Denise, what do you do to get people to get off their rear ends and get this thing done?
There isn't anything specifically that I do to get them to do it. It's more so the person has to be really ready. But a lot of times people come to me with ideas floating around all up in here. And the best thing that I can do is listen, help them, help elicit the ideas, help give it structure and organization, and put it out into the world. And I do that based on what their goals are for the book.
Well, do you have a book?
Do I have a book? I have several books. Now, the question is, are they published? Not currently, because I'm too busy. I'm too busy helping. I'm like the cobbler, right? I'm so busy making shoes for everybody else that my own kids are running around barefoot. So, but yes, my books are coming out. But right now I've been such in the phase of, helping other clients like June with their book writing projects and making sure they get out the door and accomplish the goals that they want to accomplish with it.
All right. Well, so I'm gonna get to June in a second, but I gotta ask you this. At what point did you realize that you could actually make a living out of getting other people to write their books instead of you doing it yourself? Because people like to think that they could, I'm good at writing, why don't I write a book? But you immediately went to the money-making aspect of it, which I enjoy deeply.
I don't know if it was an immediate process. I've always been a writer. It's been something that's been a part of me since I could hold a crayon. But it is something that I did excel in. One of my degrees is in English. Yes, I did say one of my degrees. And writing has just been a part of my entire career. And I've spent about 10, 15 years in digital marketing. And so I was freelancing for a little while, just helping people with sales copy, blogs, et cetera, et cetera. And about 2-3 years ago, I decided to focus down my niche and help people with their books, and specifically helping people like executives, entrepreneurs, salespeople, speakers, because these types of people often want to use a book to basically share their expertise and, get things like more media spots, get more clients, get more joint venture collaborations, et cetera, et cetera. So basically they want to have a business, I would say business results from their book. So because I have such a strong marketing background and I'm already, I've already been a professional copywriter, I just kind of married the two, and there you have it.
Got it. So people can use a book, and I think it's really good. Chris Stone, we have a book, by the way, but people can use a book for a marketing tool, right?
Absolutely.
And if look at that, you see that subliminal type of put the thing up there already.
Subtlety is not one of your greatest traits, Dan.
I like the fact that I said that to you, and you said, "Oh."
Oh, okay. Yeah, here's the book.
Yeah. We got that. June Cline. You know who's better than you? No one.
Who? Who do I pay? Who do I pay?
We've got timing issues with delay. Let me ask you. So, did you not get? You've got a book written now? No.
I do. I have a few. Some of them are not have not been revived. The one that has an amazing title that I really should redo is called "Is It God or Is It Gas?" Intuition versus indigestion, and that should be back by popular demand. But I'm working out that's in the queue as Denise-Renee. There are several queue, but the one that I'm very excited about that Denise-Renee literally pulled out of me is the funny thing about money. And backstory about us: we met through the group that you're talking about. We liked each other. We really hit it off. And she said to me, "You need an ebook." And I said, "What?" Mm-hmm. And next thing you know, I'm about 5 minutes from having an ebook around a brand new topic and area that I think the world is in need of right now, a way to help master their money mess.
Yeah, I love that. Not only is that timely from what you're talking about from a financial perspective, obviously in the state that we're in, but one of the things I love about you, June, is how you just seamlessly integrate humor into what you're doing. And I know that's a really an intrinsic part of your whole deal. And so I'm really curious, and I think a lot of the viewers would be as well. Like a lot of people, when they get, a mindset, their mind junk, if you will, they say, well, I'm just not a funny person, right? They think, well, I'm a public speaker, I'm a business person, I can do this. I just have never been, the class clown, unlike one of us that's on the screen here, where, they just don't necessarily feel comfortable, not necessarily telling jokes, but they've never felt like they were funny. So June, I know you worked with a number of people that are probably like that. So where do you start with that person, and how do you help them integrate humor into what they do?
Well, I start right there at ground zero. As a matter of fact, on my junecline.com site, you can actually go and download the 21 humor tips, which starting at ground zero, is stop saying you're not funny. It's stop it, because the more you feed that to your brain, of course, the more you believe it. And it's not about joke telling. It's about life telling. It's about telling life funny. And every one of us has an IMO, an idiot moment. That's what I call them, IMOs, idiot moments. And what I do when I'm working with someone is help them pull out those stories, but then they have to be strategic and they have to be relevant to the business. I love what you said earlier. Well, Denise is doing this, helping us have business with results with our book. And I forgot, I wrote down something that was very poignant and now I can't see it on my notes. But the point is, it's strategic and that's intentional. You know, that's my whole new thing now, is being intentionally June Cline. And I'm showing you how to be intentionally more funny, fit, and financially free. Those are the big 3 F's that we have.
Right. So Denise-Renee, yes, it is. Her last name is not Renee. For those of you who are watching and meeting this beautiful woman for the first time, her Denise-Renee is her first name, and that's what she goes by. But so when you sat down and talked to June about putting out this ebook, where did you start with her? June talked about where she started with people who didn't think they were funny. Where do you start with someone? What is your sort of kind of assessment process with new clients and onboarding them? And where do you start with people who know they need to write a book, but know that they, or don't know, maybe they have to go through X amount of steps and you're the specialist to do that?
I start with the end. I always start with, what are your goals? What are you looking to accomplish? In June's case, she had very specific goals for her new ebook. And so we said, okay, boom, that's where we need to end up. So once we know the end, where we want to go, or the things that we want to accomplish, then we can work a content plan backwards to get there. She did have a very specific idea in terms of where she wanted to start and some of the stories she wanted to tell. That's not where we ended up, but that's okay. It's, you know, I take people from where they are and we get to where it is that they need, that they've said and identified where they want to go. So now that's where she is.
Got it.
I want to know what your idiot moment is, June.
Mine?
Oh, I'll start with yours. Okay. You're so quick to jump in. June Cline said, without a shadow of a doubt, that everybody has an idiot moment.
Okay.
So what's yours?
Lord have mercy. There are probably way too many to tell.
Oh, okay. Well, then you
I have idiot moments like every day. Like,
you think of one.
Just barking. I'm like, oh my God, really now?
Well, you think of one. Think of a good one while June tells hers, because she's obviously well prepared. Hit us up, June.
Oh, please. Well, and that's because I had so many and I would talk about them and make people laugh out loud. That's where this whole thing really came from. I was in student financial aid for 16 years. And one day had an ugly incident with administrator that was my boss, and I was going to leave. And I went to sit down at my desk and there was a stack full of folders to award, and I saw under their idiot moment, under sex on the application, you know, remember, I always say to my audiences, do you remember sex? And that causes breakout sessions in a way that we didn't really intend, but they would put more information than we wanted, and they would say yes, no, sometimes, twice, once in Madisonville, again in Valdosta. So that information became a collection, and I started to collect student bloopers, and I volunteered to give a speech in front of 300 of my closest peers and colleagues, sharing those student bloopers. And there's a big blooper after that, but I don't want to take up the whole time, but that's how I started, is sharing other people's idiot moments.
Oh, that is awesome. So Denise, can you top that?
I don't know, but
But see, that's topics for books.
I know, right? The one thing that I just thought of was an incident when I was in about 7th or 8th grade, and we had everybody, our music class, everybody had to sing and we had to learn this song. And this is okay. I know this face looks super young, and it does, and it is, but I was in school in the 80s. Okay, so don't try to calculate my age. But we had to learn a song, and our teacher made 10 cassettes that we had to pass around. And I didn't get the cassette in time, so I didn't know the song. And the song was Hello by Lionel Richie. And I didn't know the song and nothing. And so it was my day to sing, and I was last on the list. And I was praying and hoping that I didn't get called and that we used up all the time. And unfortunately, there was just enough time. And I had to get up there and sing this song. I sounded horrible. I barely fudged my way through the words. It was embarrassing. And the stupid thing is, I actually do know how to sing, but it was horrible. It was bad. It was horrible.
Oh, that's
it still gives me pains today. And every time I hear the song Hello, I'm like, I don't want to hear that song.
That's the worst fear, to sing alone in front of people. So as long as that's the worst fear, can you sing it now?
I still don't know all the words. What's the chorus? Hello, is it you I'm looking for?
Yeah.
I still don't know the words. Leave me alone, Dan.
Well, so what is your song though? What's a song that you can just kill?
Oh gosh, I don't know. It has to be like I've spent so much time leading worship in church and stuff like that. So it'd have to be like
really
a church song.
So you're a killer. So now here's the thing. Why don't you use that in your marketing? Why are you not? I put together.
She does, Dan. Dan, first conversation I had with her one-on-one, we started talking about music. And she's just a lot of the sales techniques that you talk about, she was utilizing. And she, we were having those conversations about music and that whole know, like, and trust thing. She went through all those steps.
Yeah,
talking about music.
The whole thing with marketing and sales and trying to get your stuff out there is to be memorable and to be different. And if you have the guts to stand in front of people and sing, we put together a stupid jingle at one time. I don't know, Chris Stone, if you remember that thing. But it's
that reminds me, we have to take a break. There's a word from our sponsor, Dan.
Well, if your sales team sucks and you don't know what to do, call Deej 678-910-9912. Call Deej 678-910-9912.
It's a happy
and we're
jingle.
Back.
it's a happy little jingle, you got to throw out there. But absolutely, if you're willing, it's impossible to have people not like you if you're willing to put yourself out there at the risk of looking like an idiot.
Well, I'll tell you one thing. If people follow me either on my personal profiles or on my my business profiles, they definitely see my personality. I definitely put myself out there. You see all this face?
That's right.
They get it all.
They get it all.
They get it all. Yes. Follow me using @WriteYourBookTips.
School in the 80s. Cassettes.
Listen, okay? Don't try to bring up my age, okay?
Yeah.
We're probably the same age.
Let's not gloss over. Okay. Let's not gloss over. You guys, both these two, you need to, the scroll thing at the bottom. These are great follows for you guys. Denise-Renee, fantastic Instagram. Just every day, she's got something that if you could just be feeling a little bit, sideways, just a little bit, kind of rainy. She just brightens up your day. June Cline's Facebook Lives.
Getting a check.
Her Facebook Lives are amazing. She just is like really open, transparent, and these are just some great follows for you guys on social. But we do have a couple of comments, if we could, for you ladies here. First of all, we've got Jordan Favor. I know I've had many idiot moments, such as this time I made a ramp down a hill into a lake with a good friend.
Oh, my God, I hate this kid. Frickin' Jordan. I almost broke my neck on that ramp. That was at our lake house. He built this thing. It's like, and so like everybody was flying off and going on the, on their little flotation devices. But I was just going to, go in and dive in. And I dove in right on I swear, I thought I was paralyzed. It was all Jordan's fault. He is a rotten kid. I mean, there's a lot of good friends that my son has. This one, not one of them. A real rotten. Actually, he's actually number one in my book. I'll take him anytime. June Cline, I have a question. Oh, look, Doug Lehman. By the way, Doug Lehman is getting the most play out of his appearance here on DJ Live. He's turning into real hard cash. You guys got to do it. I want to ask June Cline something. Wait, actually, he had a question. Let him ask. Well,
all right, it's your show. You know, what are we doing? All right, here we go. Doug's asking, when working with an editor or ghostwriter, what should an author look for, in layman's terms?
I think the most
Denise-Renee.
Yeah. Well, thank you. I think the most important thing when an author is looking to work with an editor or ghostwriter or a writing coach, which I do all three, is find someone who definitely hears you and understands where you're coming from. They do have expertise and they're going to have to guide you in a particular way, but you want to feel and know that they are hearing you and that it's going to be a good working relationship. And I actually have some videos on my channel that talk about how to hire someone or how, what to look for when you're looking for people to be a part of your team. Because a lot of times people think that writing is a solo sport. It's not. You need a team behind you to, and especially if you're self-publishing, you cannot do everything by yourself. It's just not going to work. So, yeah. So.
Now I want to ask June Cline something. So June Cline, I've seen you speak, and for the people that don't know, June Cline is like a professional speaker. She's the real deal. She goes out, she gets paid big bucks to go out, back when people actually saw human beings, before everything was Zoom related, when there was actual human contact with people without face mask. By the way, with the face mask thing, I'm going to go off on a quick tangent. So I went to a supermarket yesterday and they said, listen, it's mandatory. I've discovered something about myself. I don't like when people tell me the word mandatory. You tell me mandatory, I'm like, who am I? Anyway, so I said, it's okay. So I went somewhere else. This is what I discovered. You go to a Hispanic, like a Mexican supermarket, no rules apply. You can do anything. So I go in there, no mask, everybody's having a good time. It's great. So now I shop only at Mexican supermarkets. That's what's great about America. It doesn't work one place, you get to go somewhere else. It's the ultimate place. Anyhow, Miss June Cline, I saw you speak. I was
going to say, is that your question? Because that's a long one.
No. I saw that was a tangent. That was a tangent, and really, that's my speaking style. That's how I write. I think in story and I write. And I saw you speak once, and I realized that's pretty much your presentation: story after story after story, finished off with a laugh, and. It's a unique skill that you have, and you're a little different than most people because you can do that. I don't think it was trained. I think it just came with you naturally. When was the time, because I knew a specific time in my life, and I'm sure it wasn't yours, that you realized that you were different than everyone else?
Birth. At birth. Yeah, I was 2 weeks late. My mama never forgave me and never let me forget it. So I had to be funny at the get-go. And, there really is a pretty serious slant to it in that, and they say most humor comes from pain. And so if you want to know part of the story, you can go to my website and check out the TEDx experiential speech I did there, where I get deep. I go deep there because it was TEDx. I knew I had to, and I didn't normally do that at that time with my audiences. But I talk about the dysfunction of our family with my stepfather, who, on any given day, we could have become the headline on the evening news because he was what I affectionately called, had the 3 M's. He was either mean, mentally ill, or a moron, and probably a combination. So I learned, but I learned at a very early age that humor was power and a boundary. Of course, I didn't know those words, at 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, but especially in my teen years, I got really good at sparring and the sarcasm, which means to tear the flesh to the bone, by the way. So those of us that are sarcastic, yeah, somebody is paying. So you just want to always be cognizant. So you're right, Dan, in that I am different and I look at it in a whole nother stratosphere and level. And it's very serious. Humor is very serious. It's very funny. And there's also a cost. So, but I learned early on to be funny.
I love the phrase humor is very serious. You know, like if you just said that right at the beginning, I'd be like, what? But you know, that's a great way of looking at it. Absolutely. And I just can't help but chuckle at, you know, after she speaks for like 30 seconds. I end up laughing at something she says.
By the way, you know, you don't have to be a TEDx. This is the DJX. You know, you're allowed to, you know, open up and be authentic on a DJX. Well, this is great. So if you had words of wisdom, Denise-Renee,
Yes,
what's
sir.
your last name?
I don't use my last name in public, honey.
I know, but you don't use it in public? Really?
No, I don't.
Do you use it in private?
Yeah.
You just never use it.
I use it when
Are you
I
embarrassed for your last name?
You guys can have a side chat later.
There's just a whole story around it. That's all.
Oh, really? Look at that. So you're just Denise-Renee right there.
I'm just Denise-Renee. That's it.
Did I ever tell you the story? Did I ever tell you the story about my last name? It's completely made up. It really
the
is.
Story or your last name?
my last name. My dad, when my dad moved here, you know, he's from France, and he moved here. I don't know, must have been 1950 or whatever. And the last name was Segel, which in English would be Siegel. And he was a hairdresser. You know, at the time, that was his thing. And like, you can't have a hairdresser. You know, I'm going to go to Mr. Siegel. He's got this French, Maurice Chevalier. And they go, hi, here's Mr. Siegel. And so he needed to change his name to a French sounding last name. He looked downstairs. There was a clothier, Louis Jourdan. He goes, I'll take that one. Changed the last name just like that. That's how much we care about our last name. But Denise-Renee, she's all poo-pooey about the last name.
Listen, it's a, what do you call them? A mononym, like Madonna.
Oh, that's right.
Prince.
That's right.
Mine is just a double first name. I'm just a mononym.
You're right. It's like the Deej. Yeah, it's the same thing. Well, so if someone was if you were to give one piece of advice on how someone gets started on their new book, what would you tell them?
Get your phone.
Ooh.
Yeah. Get your phone. Open up your voice notes. Start talking. Brain dump. Brain dumps are the best way to just get everything that's going on in here out so that you feel like it's out. And then you have something to work with. It's very difficult to edit a blank page. But if you've got something on that page already, or if you have, you know, you can always get an audio transcription of what you wrote. You can now form and shape what you have. So if nothing else, and that's a great tip that I always give to my clients and prospects who don't feel like they are writers, use voice notes, get it transcribed. You now have something on paper to work with, manipulate, form, shape, et cetera, et cetera.
That's good stuff. You got to finish it off with a smile, though. So say et cetera, and then hit it with smile, right? Do it. Do it again.
Et cetera, et cetera.
Boom. You see that? You got to put a cap right on the end of it. So now I'm going to ask the same question for Miss June Cline, but not writing a book, in writing a speech. How does someone get started?
Well, the first thing I'm going to ask you is, I'm going to tell you to come up with every stupid thing that has ever happened to you. I want a list of your 8 moments. We're going to start there. The ones that we've told here as a coach and a speech guider for you, I would say, what did you tell here, and how can we use that in what you're currently doing from the platform or even on a Zoom or whatever? Because the quicker you can tell on yourself, the quicker you let that wall down. And it's all about know, like, and trust. And when somebody can laugh with you and at you, then they are going to fall into that formula quicker. they're going to know you, like you, and trust you just a titch mo better, as I like to say. So that's the first thing, is really look at the goofy points. And I've worked with, general that said, June, I spent 40 years of my life trying not to have an idiot moment. And so there are those that can't even see it. They don't understand it. They don't even know what I'm asking. But yet once we start digging, then there's a little childhood story that then can become the opening and then the parts in the middle. So it's an art form, and it is a task to figure it out and to be willing to drop that wall down. And do we have time for me just to say a word to about the process with Denise-Renee? Do we have that time?
Oh yeah.
This is DJ Live. You got all the time in the world. What do you
I'd
think?
love to hear.
I'd
love to hear the process for sure.
I love it. Well, this was interesting. I do fancy myself a good writer and a funny writer. And so when we decided to take this project on, and she wanted me to do the brain dump, like she just said, and I could do that easily. I dump my brain often. And so it was an easy process. And I thought, I pretty much got this down right here. This is pretty good. And so what came back to me from Denise-Renee was, well, it's good. That's very good. But we need to have some construct around it. We need to have some, the content needs to connect a little differently. And she was so strategic in how she's putting this all out there. And I thought, okay. And so then we started working. She sent me a template or an outline. And I looked at it and I'm like, oh, this ain't funny. This ain't funny. How's this funny? And then she had the astute wisdom to say, it doesn't have to be funny. It can be funny in a different way. Not funny, ha ha, but funny as in, oh yeah, I know that. So we totally shifted everything that I thought I was bringing into this project and doing. And I have to tell you, now that we've gone back and forth and I've got a pretty much finished product, I'm proud. And it's also different. And it's not a joke a minute at all, because it turns out there ain't much funny about money, though you're not supposed to say ain't in print either, but there isn't much funny about money. So I want to congratulate her and her skill for bringing me full circle to allow me to be intentionally June Cline and maybe expose a little more than I thought I was going to or would have.
Well, thank you. Thank you, June.
Well, you got to pay her now.
I know, right? It's just money is just circulating.
Yeah.
That's amazing. And what I really liked about what you said earlier, June, and I think what a lot of people are afraid of, whether they're approaching a business situation, whether they're on LinkedIn, whether they're preparing for a speech, I think, or they're a manager of people in any sort of business situation, they're afraid of being vulnerable. And a lot of people view vulnerability as a weakness. And I think what you're talking about is don't be afraid to be vulnerable. And I think sometimes being humorous or looking at those idiot moments, you got to break through those vulnerabilities. And a lot of times those that fear can keep you from being the creative person that you should be, whether it's a podcaster or a live streamer or a ghostwriter or a public speaker or some wacky sales guy. That kind of stuff can get in your mind and keep you from actually being the person you should be. So I applaud you with the vulnerability point for sure.
Well, that's it. All right. So next time,
my most recent Motivational Monday, where I was talking about vulnerability. Someone's paying attention.
Right. So next week we do this naked.
I won't be
there's
on.
Lines.
But,
there's lines, Dan. There's there's etiquette. You have to. You can't.
Well, let me sum it up. So quickly, a quick story and all this stuff that I get a lot from the information you guys give, and then it just reminds me of a story. So I remember when I was a kid, it was high school, and maybe ninth, 10th grade or whatever it was. And I went to one of those, my first kind of high school party, like after the football game. It was a big deal and everyone's going crazy. Everybody's drinking, everything like that. And I was there. My sister was a year older than me. And so she was there at the party too. And I went there and I saw her, and this was my sister. You know, she was my sister. She was everything. She was smarter than me. She was more popular. She knew it was my sister. And I saw her at this party and I thought to myself, holy crap. She's just like every other ditzy girl in my grade. Like it completely changed my perception. And that point, I realized everybody's the same. Everybody's insecure. Everybody's a kid. Everybody has those same feelings. No, the person that you think is the biggest expert, they're not an expert. And so if you're out there and you're thinking about, should I write a book? Should I write a speech? Should I go out there and should I share my wisdom? Don't wait till somebody tells you you're an expert. You already are. They're more impressed with the fact that you've taken the initiative to do it, to make the book or to make the speech or to get out and speak in front of people. They're more impressed with that than with the content itself. You're already an expert. Don't wait. You go get them today. And thank you guys for being here.